Welcome back to LUTE Labs. In the next few videos, we will discuss the XR system or extended reality system within LUTE. We will discuss how to toggle XR, placing objects on a plane, the differences between testing on a mobile device and in the editor, and then we'll discuss interacting with those objects in the second video. In the third and final video, we will discuss how these interactions can work at locations using the LUTE location system. To begin with, in this video, we will discuss toggling the XR and plane detection, placing an object on that plane, and then seeing it at runtime, where we will discuss the differences between testing on mobile and testing in the editor. For now, let's jump into the editor to get going. Okay, so we are in the Unity editor with a scene open called XR Drag Puzzle Example. You can find this scene within the LUTE starter scenes, games, and then AR. It's XR Drag Puzzle Example. In this scene, we offer basically the crux of the XR system, so you can dive into that if you'd like to get started. For now, we're going to talk about how to actually toggle XR within LUTE. To do so, first I'm going to head over to a node, and I've got a couple of orders on this node to begin with, but I'm just going to search for the orders, and I'm going to type in XR, and quite a few orders come up when you look at the XR system. The most common one you are likely to use is the toggle XR, which essentially will toggle the XR objects on or off, and if none exist, it will actually create all the objects in the scene for you. Then there's the toggle plane, which essentially is allowing objects to be spawned within the XR system or in augmented reality. And if we toggle the plane on or off, essentially what we're doing is toggling whether or not objects can be spawned in AR if the camera is turned on a mobile device. The third most common order you might use is placing object on a plane, and it is the order we will discuss today. Essentially what this is doing is taking an object or a prefab or a primitive, finding a plane or a surface essentially in extended reality, and then instantiating or creating that object on that plane. Down the line, you might want to interact with that object, in which you can use the interact order here. You might want to change the object itself, or you might want to destroy the object as well. So let's take a look at that toggle XR order. Essentially what the toggle XR order will do, as I've said, is create a bunch of different objects, place them in your scene to ensure the XR system works correctly when playing at runtime. If you have toggle off, essentially if there is an XR system in your game, it will toggle the XR system off, and if it is on, it will do the opposite. The plane visualizer is essentially when the player turns on the camera and starts the XR system, what will be used to detect the plane or the surface. So in this case, we're just using a bunch of dotted lines to represent where the AR surface or plane is being created and therefore being interacted with objects in the future. You could detect planes in different ways. Horizontal essentially means most likely things like the floor or a desk, whereas vertical could be a wall or something like a tree if you're outside, or you can be everything, or don't worry about having any alignment whatsoever. So when this is called, this will toggle our XR system, and when we use our phone, or in this case in the editor, when we use our mouse to look around, a plane will be created based on a surface. So in many cases that's a desk or the floor, and then when we actually want to spawn an object on that plane, we use the place object on plane order, and that uses a prefab. It creates the prefab on the plane, it gives it a name, and then it just decides where do you want this object to be aligned. Do you want it to be above the plane? Do you want it to be facing downwards on the plane? Or do you want it to be vertical? Then The object can be rotatable, scalable, and movable or draggable. So as I've noted, you can toggle the XR off, and we will do this using this node here, and the order is the same as before. So toggle XR, but in this case the toggle is off, or the Boolean is false. So let's take a look at this in runtime. So essentially what has happened is the toggle XR order has been called, and this has created an XR manager and the XR new prefab, which is a bunch of different child objects inside of that. And what this does is create a simulated environment, which you can see here. And essentially, if you're using this with a phone, you won't see this because we're just using a simulated mock environment, which is created when you're using the editor. When we drag around, we will see that the plane is created. You can see those dots. So essentially what this is doing is finding a surface and then saying these dots here are our plane in which objects can be spawned on. And you can see that the place object on a plane has been activated. It's found a plane just simply by dragging around our camera, or if we're using a phone, looking around in the phone at our real world environment, detecting a plane, and then spawning an object on that. And again, the object can be moved around or dragged. It can be scaled up and down and rotated as well. This will look quite a lot different on the phone because we'll be viewing it through the phone's camera. So this environment won't be visualized like this. It will simply see the dots and then the object itself, which can then be dragged and scaled using touch controls. If I then execute this toggle XR off node, the environment is disabled, and what this will do is shut the camera off on the phone and then go back to whatever the state was for the game previously to the XR being toggled. In the next video, we'll discuss how we can interact with these objects to create ludic systems like puzzles, and then also how to interact with that using the phone as well. Thanks for watching with LUTE Labs, and we'll see you there.